think to put this into perspective, I think the listeners should know and who am I and what am I doing in MACC. I was previously a partner with KPMG, and by training I'm a chartered accountant. But now I'm with MACC for the last 4 years, currently on contract, and I head the Forensic Accounting Practice with Bahagian. I'm also the Special Advisor to the Chief Commissioner. If you look at investigations per se ongoing now, you find that most of these investigations are finance-based. And for you to investigate effectively finance-based investigations, you need accountants. In MACC, we have talent, we have plenty of accounting graduates, but we do not have professional accountants. When I say professional accountants, that means they belong to a professional body and they have been trained in accounting firms before they join MACC. So it's the Chief Commissioner's also vision and ambition, and it's also mine, being a head of the forensic practice, that MACC should have its own pipeline of professional accountants. So currently, you find that as a stopgap measure, under the Talent Corp program, we have brought in accountants from accounting firms. We pay them big money, but they are here for a year or two, and then they go back. Hopefully, there will be skills transfer, but then you'll find that we still have this shortage that we do not have professional accountants. So I mooted this idea with the strategy committee that we should have our own pipeline of professional accountants, and we call this program, as part of the whole human capital program, we call this program MACC. MACC, yeah. MACC means Chartered Accountancy Training for MACC. So we need to identify where do you have the source of the accounting graduates for the pipeline. So the source that we've identified would be generally all universities in Malaysia that produce accounting graduates. But we have this issue that for them to sit for the professional exams, they can either sit for the English CA, or they can sit for ACCA, they can sit for the MICPA exams. If you look at the modular system, which best fits our urgent need to fix this gap, the university that we identified was UiTM. Because you find that UiTM produces a significant number of accounting graduates, and they are of good caliber, and also you find that they work very closely with ACCA, right? And you find that the students who actually come out of the degree program will have quite a few exemptions where they can switch on to the ACCA program, which is why we chose UiTM. I'm not saying that UiTM is going to be the only source of the accounting graduates. This is a pilot project, and you find that even this shortlisted recruitment that we are planning, we only do the pre-screening. The decisions to whether recruit them or not is with SPA, right? So what we do is we have a short list of candidates, and we pass it to SPA for them to actually conduct their own interviews before they bring them on board. The MACC program, once we have JPA's, SPA's approval of the shortlisted candidates, what we'll do is we bring them on board and they will do the one-year cadet program, which is mandatory for all MACC staff. And once they finish their one-year cadet program, then we identify accounting firms. It could be KPMG, Pricewaterhouse, Deloitte, Ernst & Young, BDO, or even middle-sized firms, where we will second these cadets for 3 years to the accounting firms, during which period they will undergo the normal training that any accounting recruit goes through in an accounting firm. In that 3-year period, they will also sit for the professional exams. We are leaving their choice as which professional exams they want to do, but we are encouraging them to do ACCA because of the exemptions they will get out of the MARA UITM degree they would get. And I have full confidence that within the 3 years they will pass their professional exams and they will exceed expectations in their performance in the accounting firms. And then they come back to MACC. And the plan now, the vision is that we would put them in siasatan for 1 year so that they understand investigation on a generic basis. And after that, I would imagine most of them would get posted into either Bahagian Operasi Kas and but primarily into the forensic, Bahagian forensic. And they will be contributing immensely as professional accountants in the role of investigations. So let me go back to about the mechanism in which we wanted to work with UITM. We met with the Dean, Professor Rohaizun, and with their also other professors, and we asked them to shortlist candidates who have a CGPA of 3.5 and above. And they shortlisted these candidates, those who have recently passed out in February, and they also the finalists who are going to pass out in June. So last week on the, actually it's this week on the 31st of March, we had a one-day career clinic in Mara, where we spoke to about 80 such students. Some of them, or most of them, who have already passed out in February. The others were sitting for their final papers. With a panel of 5 teams, each team had two members in the panel, one SPRM officer from Forensic, and one HR person from MACC. So we interviewed all the nearly 70 who actually in the end decided to turn up for the interview. And out of the 70, we have now shortlisted about 20, which today we are going to firm up the name, pass it past senior management, and work with SPA for them to carry out the normal procedures to bring them on board. I hasten to add that once they join MACC as a cadet, the clock keeps ticking in terms of their seniority to MACC. So they are at all times government servants employed by MACC and on attachment with the accounting firms. They'll be paid, evaluated, and promoted on the government track, as it were. Normally, the accounting firms will also give a dislocation allowance, which is to their own good. My proposed structure is also that the study leave for the professional exams and the fees to be paid for the professional exams will be borne by MACC, because it will not be fair to impose this burden on the accounting firms. So this is very much on track. In fact, we wanted to do this early part of 2015, but Tan Sri KP said, "Why? Let's do it now." And that's how it's now, and it's running and up and running and almost ahead of target as well. There are two other things that I need to bring it into context. We're also going to sign a memorandum of understanding with MARA so that we have this continuous pipeline. We are in no way obligated that MARA would be the only source, but at the same time, we need to have a reliable source. So we'll have an MOU. As you know, MOU is an MOU. It's not committed, but we will have that board. The draft MOU was provided by UITM. We have put our comments and passed it back to DASA, and DASA will have to pass it to the Aegis chambers before we get this MOU signed off. And I think we will get some airtime when we sign this MOU. That's one part. Because you find that I also need to put it into perspective that Malaysia as a country has a huge shortage of professional accountants. The estimated projected figure that by 2020 we would need 60,000 professional accountants. Currently, we only have about 30,000 professional accountants. So there's a huge gap, and there's an urgent need in the national agenda to have professional accountants on board. So we are actually also playing a key role in filling that gap. And we don't want to do this alone. So we have met with Mr. Johan Idris, the president of the Malaysian Institute of Accountants, and we're going to sign a memorandum of understanding with the MIA as well on the role that we want to play in the national agenda to produce professional accountants. So that is also on the cards. MIA has given us a draft of their MOU, which we have given our input, shared it with DASA, and DASA will have to clear this with the Aegis chambers before the MOU is signed. And again, it will be a very good impact for MACC to have these two MOUs in place, one with UITM and one with MIA. So we are not, and MIA would facilitate in a way in identifying firms to which we can second or attach our cadets. At the same time, they've also agreed to put into their magazine positions open in MACC for professional accountants in bringing them on board. So it's all going very well, and I see that it's not mission impossible, it's mission possible. We will have our own pipeline of professional accountants. I should quickly add that you have this common notion that this public perception that MARA is all the medium of instruction is in Bahasa, so we're going to have a problem in meeting the language requirements once they hit the private sector. Let me once and for all kill that wrong perception. The courses in UITM, the accounting courses for sure, I know, are conducted in English. The curriculum is in English, the discipline is in English, the classes are in English, and the examination is in English. So the English language, whether it's going to be a hurdle when they go out to the private sector I think this will be a non-issue. The other key thing about seconding our cadets to the accounting firm in the private sector is we need that cross-fertilization. We don't really want to have inbreeding so much, because even you find that you can sit for the ACCA exams while you're in MACC, but you'll find that you won't have that outside exposure, the multidisciplinary, multiracial, even multilingual exchanges that you would have while you work in the private sector. I could be short for saying this, but if you see on the staff that we have, those who have worked in the private sector and you come into MACC, you find that they have an advantage, the confidence level is different, and they can hold their own. So on that score, with the academic background, hopefully we're only going to choose students who have got a first class, and with their ability to pass the ACCA exams comfortably, and the exposure that they get in the big accounting firms or the medium-sized accounting firms, we will have my ambition, and I think I'll realize that dream, is that we'll have well-rounded, experienced, razor-sharp professional accountants to fill the positions here. That's the dream, and it's not a dream. It will come true.